This is a poem that I wanted to write to my two parents for Christmas '05, to express love, gratitude, holiday cheer, and an appreciation for being alive. Life is a journey down a winding road. This poem is something of a guided tour of memories, landscapes, glimpses, shadows that accompanied me as I tried to mature. It is not recounted with family photos. As I wrote this, I had only a few, just recent ones from a November trip. But using other images gives a different view, which is true to life, this inaccuracy. Our memories fade and are reinterpreted. We remold, reframe, enhance, and deny. If I think it rained, then for me it did.
When clouds rise in the sky, it's a sign that it will rain. There's nothing to do but to wait until the rain falls. It is the same in life when destiny is at work. We should not worry and seek to shape the future by interfering in things before the time is ripe. We should quietly fortify the body with food and drink, and the mind with gladness and good cheer. Fate comes when it will, and thus we are ready.
Voices from elsewhere interwoven with mine, experiences define who one is. So onward we go through some memories, memories which are mine, ours, hers, and his. A bicycle will accompany you, for through much of this life I have pedaled, with my quirky but loving family, my only one since I have never settled. Shall we start back in 1970? For me, really, it starts in '72. New Haven, a dead-end street, the neighbor boy, when even sunshine on my face was new. Already France and England we visit, gardens immortalized in the staircase, in a photograph of Angie and her kids, and a dress from then, now graced by a new face. Churches and paintings are what Europe was, classic depictions of the New Testament, sitting in the back seat of a rented car, listening to my parents explain what it meant. Back home again in Indiana, life was marked by certain regularities: snow in winter, jack-o'-lanterns in fall, days without English muffins a rarity. 60 minutes at dinner on Sunday, feast of the hunter's moon in the autumn, thirsty roses and tomatoes in summer, responding to pen pals when I got 'em. My mom, working on her dissertation, would show me tricks on her calculator. She cooked fruited flank steak for company. The shift to Chinese food would come later. One day, running to recitation hall, my dad pretended that I won the race. There were buckeyes on the ground that day like in Ohio, which is a different state, a different place. Reality got constructed thus, through lessons, anecdotes, explanations. They are here, they are there, we can reopen them. Reconnecting them, we make new creations. My parents write books. Both are doctors and one's a nurse. And somehow as a consequence, my father cooks Chinese food. Bells are inanimate objects, or at least that's what I used to think, until I saw a set of bells that had faces and would go plink plink. They were all different colors and each with a distinct sound, and Cammy and I played them as if our names and belling were renowned. And Nana looked so delighted, she clapped her hands and looked me in the eye. That's the one moment I best remember her, and I knew that she knew who was I. The one moment a day when we were all together for sure was for the evening's meal, for at the dinner table we were. News items were announced beforehand during the meal's preparation, and the daily McBride happy hour, a time of food and news creation. And when someone had good news, something really exciting and great, then later at dinner time, they got to eat with the "you are special" plate. Wedding bells under glass, Twinkies, wigs, debate team medals, people dressed in forbidden clothes, like Boderks and Hanses and Gretels. It was cold outside, and I took people's coats. I stayed removed, and I took mental notes. It wasn't long before I got rid of my bed. I didn't ask for permission once I got the idea into my head. It turned my room into a vast dance hall, and I would sleep on that same floor after nightfall. And when my parents had parties, I could hear them through the floorboards, the audible message of a successful joke's rewards. And I'd see them in my mind's eye. I'd pick out which one was laughing, as off to my dreams I'd fly. Where is north? Where is south? God forgot to set my compass. I've never had much of a sense of direction, except by how the table lumped us. I sat to my sister's left. My dad sat to my mom's right. That put me at the southwest corner, which I knew even when there was no light. From then on, no matter where in town, I knew which direction I faced when I compared it to the dining room table, and from there my placement retraced. I liked being the youngest. I liked being the smallest. I liked disappearing. Kemi, do you know where Kara is? I'd hide in the trunk. Once I hid in a drawer, but the dining room table I liked even more. I never gave a damn about Charlie Chan, nor Sherlock Holmes and his dude, but they accompanied me in my special place after we ate weekend food. Old people's basements have ancient treasure and fascinating secrets beyond measure. There's a different smell and not very much light, stacks of novels and walls no longer white. Each object down there is encoded with history, but only the old people can look at them and read to you their mystery. The American Thanksgiving dinner is the most prescribed meal of the year. There has to be turkey, has to be pie, and your family has to be near. But I turned vegetarian, and I reject cranberry sauce. But as long as there are peas, Thanksgiving dinner is hardly a loss. I love peas. They're round and green and yum. Peas on earth for all, I say, and thanks for sister, dad, and mum. Civilization required the discovery of fire, and our living required maintaining it. I couldn't write an ode to life without honoring fire by naming it. The colored sparkles, the long matches, the crumpled newspaper, the mind detaches. The best party of the year was the philosophy department picnic, when all the philosophers got together, the logician, the existentialist, the cynic. I, as a young lass, was ecstatic to watch bearded men smoke pipes and play frisbee in the beautiful hills outside of West Lafayette, in a landscape distinctly unlike Bisbee. The trees were so beautiful, the ravine so inviting, a wonderful day in the country until the day lost its lighting. A sofa, an L-shaped sofa. Not a hay bear sofa, but a stay there sofa. A comfortable, don't get up, put blankets on top and rest sofa. And the only question that remains is, why did we never put a phone in the living room? The main lobby of Grandfather's apartment building had a floor of giant black and white tiles. Of all the details of that place in Mamaroneck, that's the one my mind most preciously files. Down the street there was a diner where you could get a great grilled cheese, and there was an aunt who had an Irish accent, and a little dog who was easy to please. But the detail that most impacted me is those giant black and white squares, because they appeared and reappeared in dreams, and always had a place in my unconscious affairs. My older sister was the quieter one, while I carried my emotions on my sleeve. My sister was blonder, my sister was older, and she thought she was going to marry Steve. My cool older sister, getting to live life before me, far more adept at word games, and with an age advantage of 3. I would have liked her to blab more, to assuage my curiosity, because I found my life as a preteen to lack a certain desired velocity. The only tree I climbed when I was still a child was the one in Pop's backyard because it was so mild. It was strong and thick, and its branches were low, so climbing it took little to know. Something I did know was that climbing a tree was done by all children, now including me. One time I entered the study and found my father and my sister on the ground. They were suffering and groaning and agonizing, but my sister's level of knowledge was rising. She was learning to spell. For me, what a hell. But she was excellent at it. That girl really had it. And now she's an expert in her field. Great powers in the written word she does yield. Gifts at Christmas time have a special life trajectory, with the stages marked at the mall and at home, of no interest to those in the rectory. First they're bought, and then they're wrapped, and then they're placed under the Christmas plant. Sometimes it's a tree, and sometimes a poinsettia, but lack foliage entirely we can't. Then we stare at them for days on end, and then comes Christmas Day, and we open up the gifts. New clothes are modeled, new toys for play. But what is Kara's favorite part? The process isn't over yet. She likes to watch the wrapping paper burn. A real pyromaniac, you bet. The Easter Bunny in other homes only leaves eggs and sweets, but the Easter Bunny in my house left poetry and much cooler treats. There'd be poems in the living room that were clues to decode that told us where there were gifts hidden about in our abode. Contest at the time meant only one thing. It meant music contest, to which my sister would bring her hours of practice, her deep dedication, her love of music, her greater edification. My sister was so good at music that the only thing she had to beware was tripping and falling on her way to first chair. When we sat together with the grown-ups, in and out went my attention, so one time I was caught off guard when being a lady as a topic got mentioned. We were going round in a circle, each giving their opinion of how to identify a lady properly entrenched in her dominion. And you, Kara, how would you define it? And I felt a panic at the moment. How could a woman not be a lady, as to the definition not own it? I don't know, I said. I was utterly confused and perplexed. I thought woman and lady were synonyms, but apparently not, given what happened next. All the adults laughed with glee. Well, if you don't know, you've never thought about it. Obviously, thought I. Why would I? It's in the dictionary, so why would I doubt it? A lady, said Peg, is a woman who knows when and when not to wear pantyhose in public. That was the definition I got. Crab cakes are so tasty, but don't eat them too hasty, because sometimes there's a shard, which isn't meat, it's something hard, which makes me think, do they just put the whole crab, eyes, shell, and foot? Soda with bubbles rising behind the tiger ready to serve you a drink, or to roar in your tank. It just makes you think, why don't we get tiger glasses when we buy gas? All we have is tigers on cereal boxes, which is ever more crass. In Baltimore, they put tigers in their tanks, and they get groovy glasses. Hey, Pop, thanks. It's those quiet types that you have to look out for, which would make my sister quite suspicious. Although I've never seen her be really mean, so perhaps this quiet type thing is fictitious. What I do know about my sister is that when one least expects it, she'll come out with a sharp comment that's funny and clever and projects wit. Still waters run deep. My sister's an ocean, and she's funnier than hell when she gets the notion. It was really cool to have an intact ethnicity for special ways to express felicity. In my family, we had strong ties to Poland. We ate sausage, borscht, pierogi, and stollen. And at Easter time, we had a special activity that made that holiday even better than the Nativity. We painted eggs with melted wax on pins to honor Jesus Christ, who died for our sins. And just like a French maid, she was sulky. The farewell to Affluence party couldn't have happened at any other moment in time. The elements of the 80s in my attitude are key. At least to the way my mom tells the story, at least to the way that I hear it. But I suppose there's another side to the story, the way it was experienced by those who were near it. A clever party theme and excellent food and drink. Must have been a blast for the guests, now that I give it a think.